Do you suffer from the common aches and pains like neck pain, back pain, foot pain? Well, today I'm going to be joined by my wife Susan, and we're going to have a conversation about the 4 keys to identify your muscle pain. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below, and stay tuned. Welcome back to the Muscle Repair Shop. My name is Butch Phelps, and today I'm joined by my wife Susan, and we're going to have a conversation about the 4 keys to identify your muscle pain.
So many people think when they hear that who my husband is and what he does for a living, I tell them stretch and release, but most often I say he's a special type of massage therapist. They go, oh my goodness, you've got it made. You must get taken care of every day. And the answer to that is always, no, I don't. One of the things that I have learned from my husband, which is the same thing that he wants to teach you, is how to take care of myself. So over the years, in learning this stretch and release process that he's developed, we've got it down to 4 things that he needs to know when he's trying to help you identify pain. So he can't be with you all the time. If you come in to see him once a week, you're one of those lucky few. And when I'm in pain, what do, Butch?
She always calls.
Call or text, because he's not going to answer his phone if he's with a client. So I catch him in between. I say, oh, honey, I've hurt my back. And what's the first thing you ask me?
Usually I ask, where is the pain?
And I'll say, it's my back. And he'll say,
well, typically then I'll ask, what is hurting? What were you doing before that happened? And what have you tried that didn't work to solve your problem before you called me? And the thing to keep in mind is with my stretch and release technique is that you are the only person who can release the muscle tension in your body. Now I know most people when they think of stretching, what they think of, they're stretching the muscle out. And that is not true. Because the muscles are attached on both ends, they neither shorten nor lengthen. Imagine this, if they could lengthen, your muscles will be sagging around your joints. If they could shorten, they'd have to detach. So basically what you're doing when you're stretching, and I wish there was a different word for that, but it's releasing the tension. And that's where the stretch and release comes in. And we're going to talk about that in more detail today.
So he asked me, where does it hurt? And I say it's my low back. Well, we'll go into that a little bit further in future videos in this series to identify exactly where in the back, because your back has got a lot of areas that have a lot of muscles.
Right. Well, that's true. And in the purpose and context of this video today, it's a more generalized video. But in identifying what's causing your muscle pain is when you say to someone, my back hurts, then you've got to be a little more specific. Is it in the lower back? Is it to the outside of the back? Is it in the mid back? Is it in the upper back? Because in each of those places, different muscles can create the pain. And the funny thing is the muscles that create the pain may not be where you think it is.
It is really surprising. The other night, Mary Ann came up to me at dinner and she said, I finally got it, Susan. She said, Butch has been saying this for years and I finally got it. Wherever the pain hurts, whichever side it's on, the source of the pain is on the other side. So I know that might be surprising to you too, but just hang in there and we're going to explain that a little bit more as we go along in this series. So we've identified where it hurts. The next question he always asks me or another client
is, when does it hurt?
What do you mean, when does it hurt? It hurts all the time.
I get that all the time for especially my new clients. And it does feel like sometimes that it hurts all the time. But what we really want to focus on is, when does it actually hurt? Does it hurt when you stand for prolonged periods of time? Does it hurt when you sit for prolonged periods of time? Does it hurt when you're walking uphill, downhill, upstairs? When you can identify when it hurts, then we can start to look at the causes of that pain a little closer.
I think sometimes people think that it hurts all the time because they're not really paying attention that after sitting for a while and they stand up, it really hurts, and then does that spasm just kind of continue for a while?
Actually, no. Usually what will happen in that case is that when someone says to me, I notice like when I get out of bed first thing in the morning or after sitting for a prolonged period of time, that when I stand up, my back would hurt. However, and then I'll laugh and I'll say, when you walk a few steps, it starts to go away. Yes, they'll say. And so what happens is that as you start to move, then the body puts warm blood into that muscle tissue, making it more pliable, which takes the pressure off of where the painful area is.
Okay, so that's a good question. You always ask that
Always, always, because once you can identify that, that's the second step into figuring out where the actual cause is coming from.
Well, all right. We've identified where it hurts and when it hurts. What's the next key question?
Typically what I ask the client at that point is, what were you doing that created the most pain before it started? And that's an important question. Now, sometimes they'll say to me, well, you know, I played tennis for years, and every time I played tennis, it hurt my shoulder, it hurt my knee, so I've just stopped playing tennis. But by understanding what you were doing that created the most pain for you, now that starts to tell me what muscles in more specific terms can be actually creating that pain. So for instance, if you play golf and you have knee pain or you have low back pain, 9 times out of 10, it's the calf muscles not allowing the body to rotate properly, which is a great example. And I see that with golfers all the time.
Right. So in my case, usually it's low back pain. And over the years, we've figured out what I'm doing. And so if I'm going to do that particular activity, gardening is my passion. So when I'm doing that kind of activity,
Yes.
I'm actually going to stop occasionally and maybe just take a break, move around differently, or maybe I'm going to go inside and actually prevent the pain because I'm going to do the stretches that the stretch and release program tells me to do.
Well, that is true, and that is so important. Most people, when they think of ache or pain, they wait until it hurts to actually try to stretch or to massage or go get a massage. What I do in the stretch and release technique is that I'm giving you the tools that stretching is necessary on a daily basis. So I'm giving you the tools that you can do that every day. Doesn't mean you have to stretch every muscle out every day. So think about a dog or a cat. They get out of their beds, they get up after laying on the floor. What's the first thing your dog or cat does? It stretches out. And it doesn't wait until there's an ache or a pain, it just automatically does it. So I always suggest to my clients that they stretch first thing in the morning. If they can, midday is great, and then the last thing of the day. Because believe it or not, that everything you think, feel, and do will have an effect on your muscles, making them tighter. So even if you're sleeping at night and you have a dream, you can tighten your muscles to the point that you put them into a cramp or a spasm just from a dream that you're having.
Wow.
And you're laying in bed. So when I get up first thing in the morning, one of the things that I want to do is to start stretching my body from my night of sleeping, because there's activity there, and then at the end of the day, especially because of my activities during the day, my thoughts during the day, and my feeling. That's an important part. So what we want to get you to do with the stretch and release technique is use the stretching and release technique to prevent the pain before it actually happened. And what I try to do when I'm working on myself is find ways that you can do it throughout your day without taking time away. If you're sitting on a computer for 8 hours a day, you can't just quit your job, but you can every hour or so rest your head in your hands and stretch out the front of your neck. You can every few minutes get up and walk around a little bit. Those are the things that I want you to understand and learn from the stretch and release technique, along with self-massage and how you can stop your pain before it even happens.
And how you can stop your brain from
that's true.
making that stress create some problems.
That is true, because in the stretch and release technique, what happens is that you're learning not to pull hard. Again, we're not stretching the muscle out by brute force, but we're literally relaxing the brain so that the tension in the muscle can relax. And that's a twofold thing. Number one, you get the pain away from the muscles, but number two, you put your brain in a more relaxed state.
I think that's the toughest thing for most people
Absolutely.
to apply
Yes.
in the stretch and release program.
Yes.
But it is so essential. And you'll find it'll make other parts of your life easier
Yes.
because you've actually acknowledged the part that your brain and your mind plays in how you feel.
That is so
every
true.
day, all day.
That is so true, because if every time you stand up your back hurts, it only takes a few times before every time you have to stand, the brain says, uh-oh, this is going to hurt, and it will
Right.
contract your muscles. Then you're dealing with pain, which makes it difficult to think straight and clear in your mind. And so when you think about how pain can really debilitate you, I mean, you'll see people who will start to go into states of depression from it. And the thing is that what we want is to help you get the body to relax and release.
The fourth question is, what about all these other things that I've done?
Right.
I mean, I've gone to PT, I've had injections, I've had other exercise specialists talk to me. I've seen people in the gym that are focused on stretching your back, and oh, I know that feels good at the time, but did that really help?
Right, right.
And so why aren't these other things helping?
So, and to add on to your question, for many of you, you've even gone through several rounds from doctor to doctor to doctor being passed around because they don't truly understand what causes your pain because they can't really see it on a scan. Great question though, and I get this all the time. So, number one, the reason why most of those things fail is because the way we're all taught, and I was taught the same way in school, is to go to the site of the pain to treat it. So if my back hurts, my thought process from school would be, I need to stretch the back, I need to massage the back, I need to wear a knee brace if my knee hurts, or an elbow brace if my elbow hurts. That's a massive mistake, number one. Number two, understanding the role of the brain with your muscles. Now, the way to think about your muscles is that from the brain, the muscles are the emotional fingers of the brain. So again, whatever you think or feel, your muscles will be affected by that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's another big flaw that in how we treat muscles today. And then lastly, the idea that I'm going to pull these muscles. So again, we have said this over and over and over. We're not stretching muscles out. We're releasing tension. So one of the things that I say to many of my clients is, you will unlearn far more than it's going to take to learn the stretch and release technique. And so from doing that, getting away from that, I'm going to pull as hard as I can for as long as I can with no thought process that my brain could be fighting with me. Most people you see in the gym will be actually doing strength training versus stretching. So if I take my leg like in a typical hamstring stretch and I'm pulling my leg as hard as I can with my arms, what you're actually seeing in the gym is actually somebody doing more of a bicep curl, making their biceps bigger, than they are stretching their legs. Because once you get to a point that there is discomfort or pain, the brain then contracts the opposing muscle to the one you're trying to stretch to stop the pain. Your brain, 100% of your life, is trying to keep you safe and out of pain. The minute you cause pain or I cause pain in your body, your brain will contract muscles and it will fight every time.
And this is a concept that Butch reiterates over and over, and sometimes you hear it and sometimes you don't, but once you finally get it, you'll find out what the biggest difference is in the stretch and release program and all of those other methods that you might have tried to alleviate your pain.
In fact, that's funny because I had a gentleman actually in his mid-90s one time said to me after a year coming to see me, I finally figured out the tennis ball massage. Now the tennis ball massage, of course, is the tennis ball between your hip and the wall. But he was using pressure because his whole life he'd been taught to use pressure to manhandle his muscles. But what was happening was that the harder he pushed in on the tennis ball, the more pain he created, the more the brain contracted the muscle to stop the pain. But it took him a year to figure it out. Now, not everybody takes a year to figure some things out, but give yourself some time. Have patience with it. When you stretch your body with my stretch and release technique, you are not going to feel that pull, that fight that you feel with typical stretching that you do today. What I want you to learn how to do is, as you're bringing the leg up or bringing the arm up, and I'll have you to do that 9, 10 times each time you do it in each direction, all you're doing is showing the brain you didn't die from that. You didn't tear anything from that. It's okay, it's safe. And once the brain can see that, the brain will actually allow the muscle to let go without you dealing with pain. And what you'll see is you'll see the leg moving more and more. I can't tell you how many times I've had a husband and wife team come in, and I'm working on the husband, and she's telling me how stiff he is, especially in his hamstrings. And as I'm moving his leg, she'll look up, she'll go, oh my gosh, I've never seen his leg move that far. And all that happened was, instead of him screaming and pounding on the bed in pain, was that as I coached him to release the muscles, the tension in those muscles, his leg was going places that it had not gone before.
So maybe we can teach you a little about the coaching process in your own mind,
right?
Along with all of the stretch and release stretches that Butch has developed, and find some relief. Of course, Butch is here. The videos are there.
Yes.
The book is soon to be out.
The book is soon coming out. Yeah. So there's several ways that you can learn more about what I'm talking about. Number one, you can go to my YouTube channel, The Muscle Repair Shop, and there's nearly 100 videos there that you can watch on pretty much every topic of the muscles of the human body. I've got a book that we're currently working on that hopefully will soon be published, and it will be published pretty soon. And I'll keep you apprised of that as we get closer and closer to a published date. You can also go to my website, musclerepairshop.com, and you can sign up there to get more information, like a newsletter on a weekly basis. You have a chance to ask more questions and get in contact with me. And if you're in a place where you can come to my office, you can even schedule an appointment from that as well. And then finally, I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn, because the stretch and release technique looks at the causes of the pain and helps you to stop those. Even from a business perspective, if you have employees that are constantly missing work due to common injuries, my stretch and release technique can help you solve those problems as well. So I always welcome comments and questions because there is a lot of questions to deal with this.
There are many questions, and that's the way you learn. So keep watching. We'll do the next 4 videos.
3 videos.
Three videos focused on the 4 keys of identifying your muscle pain.
Yep, and that'll include back pain, neck and shoulder pain, and even plantar fasciitis, because I know there's millions of people who deal with that every year, and it makes it very difficult to get rid of. But I can show you how to do that within a week.
So keep watching. We'll be back.
Yep, keep watching. Make sure you subscribe so that you get notified when these other videos come out.
A thumbs up.
Thumbs up for a like. And please, if you have a friend that you think this could help, share it with them. Leave any comments or questions again. And until next video,
bye-bye.
See ya.